the best coach on the season this year? Who do you think stood out?
Yeah, I mean, to me, I was a big fan of D'Amico in the offseason. I thought he was going to be seamless transition because of the type of player he was. As the middle linebacker for some great defenses in Houston as well as with the Eagles. And I just thought because of the type of man he is, the type of character he has, his football IQ, the type of relationship he's been building with the players on the team, and just everything you heard about him as from the players as far as how much they loved him. I thought he was going to do great. He exceeded what my expectations were of him. He didn't make the same mistake more than one game in a row. And I think it was shown. You talked about that Green Bay game in Week 3 being on D'Amico Ryans, and it was not only that decision to not call the timeout, but just the game overall was probably his worst called game in the whole season. And then you look full circle, the divisional game against Green Bay. He all of a sudden, it was a completely different defense, and holding Aaron Rodgers to one touchdown in Lambeau in a playoffs, that's saying something about somebody who is willing to fix themselves. And I think for me, he's by far the coach of the season.
And it's not even necessarily the willing to fix yourself, because you could be willing to fix yourself and not have the answer in you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And
true.
He has the answers in him. You know what I mean? Which is what any successful anybody needs. You know what I mean? They need to be able to stand in there when it's tough and deal with everything, take all the blows, come back, regroup, figure out what went wrong, put a plan in for next time, start thinking about other things that could happen because you don't want to look silly like that again. And then the next time that shit hits the fan, guess what? You're prepared. You're sitting back smiling like, man, this is only plan B. I got C, D, E, and F. Don't worry, this handled.
I love it.
Yeah. No. Now, maybe we should talk about this because we're talking about coaches. This whole Embry firing. What do you make of this?
Yeah, I mean, the headlines don't look good, right? I mean, as far as what it looked like, but then, I don't know if I don't have enough of the details to really make a decision. I mean, if they offered him to take, they're like, you could stay here, but you have to take a 60%, pay cut, I think is what I read. Doesn't look good. I mean, clearly right now with what's going on with Brian Flores and, the suit against the NFL, with race being such a big issue in society, obviously it's going to make headline news. I personally don't know if this happens all the time, even to white coaches. If it did happen to a white coach, I don't think it's going to be, making the news as much. But I tend to think that the 49ers have done a really good job bringing diversity to their team as far as in the coaching staff. We've had, black head coaches before. A lot of our support staff is black coaches, and they just hired, Anthony Lynn as an assistant head coach as well.
To fill essentially the position. Yeah.
And maybe that played a role because Anthony Lynn is obviously a big name. He just came off of being a head coach. So maybe they needed some money to throw his way, and they were trying to cut it. They probably, I don't know. I don't know enough to just, because I know right now the thing is it's racism. You know what I mean? And maybe it is, but
I don't think this is. How do you racistly fire one black man to non-racistly hire another? Right. So that doesn't, what really gets me is the take the cut or you're fired. You know what I mean? And not only that, but you're talking about one of your star players' favorite coaches who he talks up about all the time. So not only, we don't know what's going on, but if there's some good reason why, let's say he said something, okay, and some, a portion of the locker room feels that what he said was true, and now he's getting a 60% pay cut for, and when you don't take it, you get fired. That could be something that could be really, really big. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but who knows what the truth is what I'm saying. Like
The locker
one
room
thing,
does.
I'm saying as far as these articles, what we're hearing, right? I
No,
don't
no,
know.
yeah, yeah.
I don't know what is being said. I don't know what's being reported. Personally, I just saw a headline. I tried to look
Yeah.
for an actual article. There wasn't really an article in there. It was just people were posting this headline and this meme. So I haven't read enough, to be honest, Ryan. I don't know if you've read more about what actually happened or if it's just hearsay. One thing that I have learned is some, like, just because it's out and it's in writing with the NFL doesn't make it true. I've learned a lot that some of these
No,
NFL
no,
reporters make up a lot of stuff. They twist the truth. They try
no,
to,
no.
just because they're just trying to get clicks and stuff. So to
I
me,
get you.
it seems out of character for this regime specifically to treat anybody this way. Let other without the name Jimmy Garoppolo by it. Every other player, coach seems to have nothing but great things to say about this organization. So it seems a little out of character. Not saying that it's not true, but it just doesn't fit with how I've seen this regime the last 5 years.
I totally get that. That's why it seems so shocking because, like, look, let's say you get your boss's job, right? He doesn't
Mm-hmm.
make double what you do a year, for the most part. Well, who knows? In some places they might, but your immediate boss, he doesn't make double what you do a year. So when you get that position, then you get bumped back down. That's a big cut. You're talking about you've got, you know, people are making million plus dollars a year on that coaching staff. You know what I mean? Coach Kraseric and all that, right?
Right.
You got Embry in there, right? Who was your assistant head coach or your backup head coach or whatnot, right? Assistant head coach. Okay, so you could knock him down to $1 million, right? Because you're paying for yes, he's getting paid more than a normal position coach, but you still have all that knowledge of, being able to fall back on his, him being the assistant head coach, you know what I mean? Being able to do all this. The only thing that makes sense is there was going to be either he said something that was too real for somebody, or he was going to be like he couldn't work with who's I'm blanking on the man who's just hired.
Anthony Lynn.
Uh, yeah, yeah, maybe he couldn't work. That's the only thing that really makes sense, and that is some juicy dirt at the end of it because with how this organization works. Why wouldn't they have worked with somebody? Been like, hey, okay, maybe you're used to this money, okay, so maybe we'll knock you down to 70% of pay, and then it'll go to 60% of the pay. We'll get you down there, within a couple years, but we won't just shock.
But
It's not
has
like
it
they're
been,
hurting.
but has it been proven that it's a true story? Has he said anything? Has anybody of, I guess, a high reputation been talking about this story, or is it just this one thing that came out from some no-name person? I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I don't know enough,
Yeah,
but people are running with it like it's fact and it's gospel. But I think it would be a bigger story if it was really true, is what I'm thinking. And I haven't seen it as a huge story. It's not being picked, especially with what's going on with Brian Flores right now and all this kind of stuff. If this was absolutely true, you would think that this would be on the front page of ESPN and
well,
Fox
it could be
Sports and all that kind of
true.
stuff.
It could be true, but not as sensational as racism. You know what
Well,
I'm
no,
saying?
I'm just saying in general, right now,
Because
that
we know
anybody,
that
people,
there's
what I'm
definitely racism in the league.
I know that, but what I'm saying is that, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, this story would be picked up everywhere because of it fits all of those things that the mainstream media is going to want to talk about, and ESPN is going to want to do segments on and all this kind of stuff. The fact that it
Tugs on the
hasn't blown up,
heartstrings.
yeah, for the fact that it isn't super blown up yet, I'm wondering how true it is, because there is something, like, I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I don't know enough to say it is or not, but do you know, have you done research into seeing who's reporting this, and have players
No,
said
I just
anything? Is that,
been hearing everybody talk about it, other than, like, I think one of the NFL shows, I think, the bigger people were talking and mentioned it. I'll do some research.
yeah,
I'll
because
look
I
into
mean,
it.
the problem is people talking about it makes people think that it's fact, but people talk about it just because people
Uh-huh.
talk. You know what I mean? It's fun to talk about. So yeah, I mean, I just don't want to be victim to just something that may not even be true. Because, like I said, if it is true, and look, I'm not saying that it's not true. I'm saying if it is true, it is completely 180 from what we've seen from this regime. You know what I mean? They've gone out of their way to pay players that aren't even playing, like a guy like D4. They've gone out of their way to keep people on the roster that are injured the whole time. Like they did that with Jarrett McKinnon. Like gone out of their way to keep guys in that even though they're suspended for all the season. They did that with Jordan Willis. So all of a sudden now they're gonna
Jalen
yeah,
Hurd.
Jalen Hurd, right? So
You got a spot.
all of a sudden now they're gonna go cheap with a really, really good coach that has done
This is
nothing.
what makes no sense.
But maybe if it makes no sense, Ryan, it's not true. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like that's what I'm trying to say. So until I do a little bit more research, or until I see, like, maybe Kittle come out, or this guy come out and do an interview, or somebody that, like Adam Schefter, or these type of guys talk about it, then maybe it'll be a little bit more like, okay, I could believe this because these guys are saying it. But as of now, it just seems like it's just local news, and it might just be clickbait. You know what I mean?
Okay, so Baller brings this up, and this was a question I had, and I heard other people, or I felt the same way about this, and I heard other people talking, but also feeling the same way. Do you feel that an owner that pays somebody to lose a game should not be an owner anymore and should lose their team?
1,000%.
Yeah. I think
I
it
mean,
goes
that's
against the
just
morals of the sport.
not only against the morals of the sport, but how could that fan base still pay? Because look, going to a football game, supporting a team is extremely expensive these days, right?
Yeah.
The games are not cheap. You to go into a game, you got to pay for parking, you got to pay for food, you got to pay for drinks, so it's an event, and usually you're not going to a game by yourself. You're taking your kids, you're taking your spouses, you're going with your friends, and all this kind of stuff. So to cheer for it, to be a fan and buy the merch and all this kind of stuff, to have your owner pay money, the money that they're getting from you, to lose is, I think, a huge betrayal. And I mean, I just don't understand how, and once again, this is alleged, right? Brian Flores does seem like a credible guy, but it is alleged, right? We still have to see the reports. We still have to see the proof and all this kind of stuff. But if it does come out and proven that this owner up in Miami was offering the money and doing this type of stuff, yeah, I mean, if I'm a Miami Dolphin fan, I'm trying to return my jersey real quick, and maybe choosing a different team.
Yeah. E. Kim brings up a great point. This is the other thing I thought immediately too, is you're talking about everybody that gambles on the games. You know what I mean? And that's a lot. And those people don't want to be losing no money. They're not very happy afterwards, which, that's why you shouldn't gamble with money that you're not willing to lose, people, just so you know. And the integrity of throwing it. Yeah, it's totally. What's next? You're going to try and, cheat to win them too? Once you collected all the.
Well, Bill Belichick is like, hold my beer with that one, right?
Yeah, right. Let's see.